So this is kind of a response video, kind of an extended thoughts for a video that Jason Jani just did here. You can get the link down below. I've got it in there. But Jason Jani was talking about his fitness journey and over the last number of years. And he talked about what he's been doing recently to help him drop about 30 some pounds here in the last 2 months, month and a half, somewhere in that ballpark. He was talking about specifically fasting, and fasting is one of those things that's a tool. What the cool thing about fitness and exercise and weight loss and different things is that there's a variety of different ways to do it. Some are sustainable, some of them are not sustainable. Some are going to be something that you can continue for a lifetime, some of them are not. The concept of fasting, of course, has been around forever. If you've read the Bible, it talked about it in there, and before, I'm sure it was available before that even. The idea, though, is that you're basically not eating for a period of time. You're drinking, but you're not eating. And for those of you who've had a colonoscopy, if you're over 50, you know that it can be kind of a miserable time. And he talked about how you get started in that. And the cool thing about it, again, is that it's a possibility. It's one of those things you could do to kind of get yourself going and jump starting. But the idea of my personal journey, that's a deal breaker. Boy, that 2 days or that day of not eating, I'm not that person. I like to eat on a regular basis. There's the idea of doing something that's going to help you jumpstart and get going, or that's going to get you down to a weight for a goal. And then there's the idea of being able to maintain that as you go forward. And he talked a little bit about that, is how he's done things and he's gotten himself to a point, and then life happened. And that happens an awful lot. Whether it's an injury, as Jason sustained and caused one of his moments or things to change, or if it was stress of life and an attitude change. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that I have learned in the last number of years, because I've had some doing that yo-yo thing with weight. You're at 210, and then you're up to all of a sudden 230, and then you're at 220, and then you're back and forth. In 2021 actually, somewhere in that ballpark, I peaked out at about 254 pounds at that particular time. And I was trying different things and with doing a little exercise here, walking a little bit more and whatever. Got my exercise stuff here, then I lifted little weights, but I was dabbling. I really wasn't making that commitment to changing one's lifestyle. And I think that's a big thing that you learn once you get to a point in your age, whether it's 40, 45, 50, 55, whatever, is that you've got to make a change. You've got to do what most people won't do to have success. And that's a business lesson that carries across the world, really. But it's one of those things that'll help you in any part of your life. If you're willing to go and do the things that people won't do, you're most likely going to lead to a level of success, because most people will go to the point of maybe at the edge of discomfort, or just short of being uncomfortable with whatever it is they're doing, whether it's putting the time in to run their business or to grow their business, or if it's the time to go and lift weights, or to make that time into their schedule. There's always a million things that get in the way, so they don't do it. And if you haven't made that commitment to watch and eat properly, eat like an adult, not like a kid, not like a 20-year-old, not like a 30-year-old, but you get to a point where it's like, I just cannot eat like I did when I was 30. I get that, and that's a big part of why I do the exercising and the running and things I do, is because I do like to eat, not the junk food I used to like to eat, but I like to be able to eat on a regular basis and not do the fasting thing. So that's what works for me. Maybe not everybody, but it does for me. But I made that decision that I don't eat when the bag of cookies is open. I'm not in there in eating with the cookies with the kids. If we go to a restaurant and such, I'm not going to be eating something that's really fatty and deep fried. I haven't had deep fried stuff virtually at all here in the last year and a half, because first off, it doesn't sit well with me, and secondly is that it's not good for me. So I've made those decisions, and that has helped tremendously. Then, of course, I've made that dedication to myself that I'm going to be working out and making that little ring on your Apple Watch, getting that at least 30 minutes of exercise pretty much every day. And I'm doing it at about a 99% ratio. I think there's been 5 or 6 days so far in 2023 that I haven't gotten my exercise rings closed, and that's because something was going on that I just couldn't get out and do anything. But I made those commitments to myself. I made those commitments to really my family and those around me, because with those changes, I can live a much healthier lifestyle. I can keep a better mental attitude towards the world. Yes, there's still times where, like this past week, I had a kind of a dark day. That depression that can hit, it still can happen. But boy, being in better shape and taking care of yourself physically and getting out and getting regular exercise, definitely makes it so instead of having the kind of those down times when all the stress of the world gets on you, instead of it hitting you like every 2 weeks or whatever it could have been, it doesn't happen very often anymore. It does still happen, but not as often. And you go out and you get some exercise, and it helps to alleviate and working yourself out of those dark places when it comes to the mental health. So there's many different possibilities of benefit when it comes to making those decisions. Now, the fasting can help you break some of those addictions, and Jason mentioned that towards the end of the video, is that by doing that as part of that process of getting going, you might be able to break that sugar addiction. That sugar addiction is a real thing for those who are like, oh, it doesn't. If you've ever been to and you've gone and had that one cookie and all of a sudden that bag of Oreos is screaming your name to finish that whole row, yeah, that's what that feels like. It may not be a true clinical thing, but those of us who have experienced it know that it's real. It's a real situation. When you open that bag of chips and you have one, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to finish this bag of chips because they're great. That's that bad carb addiction type of thing that's there, and the junk food addiction, and that's what we're trying to break. Fasting can help you do that, because once you've been away from it for 13 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours, whatever it is, the whole day, every little extra time away from it helps you say, you know what, I haven't had that for a day. I'm not going to do it today either. And then, oh, hey, I haven't had those for 2 days. I can go another day with that. And then the next thing you know, you are building that habit. Fasting can definitely help. For some of you, that's a great avenue. For myself, I can't. It's basically cold turkey. It's like, okay, I got to just leave it alone. Because if I start, it's going to be one of those things that one thing leads to another, and then I'm getting jelly-filled donuts. Then I'm going to Krispy Kreme, and the next thing you know, Doesn't mean I occasionally won't have a little ice cream, or occasionally if cut a donut in half and have a half a donut if the kids bought some special for a birthday or something. Very, very infrequent. I just don't do it, because as a 54-year-old person, I know that I would rather, and I look at it this way, that donut, well, the other day they brought some honey buns, and they're like 300 and some calorie honey buns. I looked at that and it's like, okay, that's about 3 miles of running. Would I rather eat that and then have to run 3 miles just to burn that off? Or if I leave it alone and say, wow, that looks nice, and not touch it, I'm still gonna run the 3 miles, but I didn't have to go and burn this junk food off by running 3 miles. And that really helps a lot. That the idea is that I burn about 120 calories per mile on the treadmill, roughly, somewhere in that ballpark. And when you put that into what the junk food kind of matches, it really opens your eyes. So on my own personal situation, I've taken a long approach. December of 2021 was the 254, roughly in that ballpark. Was it in that time frame is when I peaked out at the 254 pounds. Last week I went and I weighed myself. I hadn't done it for a few weeks, and I finally broke the 200 pound mark. I was at 199. I've not seen 199 on a scale in a long time. It's been a combination of lifting, strength training, and running, more running than walking, just because I'm training for a lot of 5Ks this summer, and we're doing one tomorrow actually. It's been a process of both losing weight, changing the dynamics of the body. I mean, if you look at videos of me today and you go back 2 years and you look at some of the videos, there's not as much puffiness in the face, there's not as much, the neck is a little, but when I take the shirt off, there's definition that wasn't there before. And I still have that little punch at the very bottom of the tummy, but you can actually start to see that there's some abs that are starting to work their way through. There's not as much fat on, when you get into there's a little bit, but there's a lot less fat between the skin and the muscle. Those have been evolution and change of the body over the last year and a half, 2 years, however you want to look at it, that have made it so that I'm a much healthier person today. I can go do things out running that I couldn't do before. And it just is made for a much better lifestyle. With that being said, it's a commitment. I commit basically about an hour a day. It's just how it is. I come out here, I'll work for about 15 to 20 minutes on mild days, and on days where I'm really pushing, it might be a half hour out here. Then I transfer to the other building. I do have a treadmill here, but I've got a better running treadmill over in the office where you guys see me do my DJ videos, the Distracting News stuff. That one, I'll go and spend about an hour on that treadmill. I'll be running on that treadmill somewhere between I do 2 miles of warm up, and then I do a workout, an Apple Fitness workout on a treadmill, which is either a half an hour, 45 minutes, or like today, it'll be a 20-minute because I'm getting ready for tomorrow. So I'll be doing 4 miles today as a kind of a day before the 5K tomorrow. But typically I'm doing 5 to 7 miles on a treadmill. I do go out and run once in a while on the road. I don't do it as often as I used to because there is a level of when you're beating your knees and such up at that kind of those 5, 6, 7, 8 mile distances, it's a lot. The body is still 54 years old and it has carried a lot more weight than it carries today. And those things are just things I may not be able to repair. I can function with them, and there's a little, you get the little aches and pains, but it's not what it could have been if I would have taken care of myself from 20 years old straight on through. So it's a learning process. But the idea behind it, I wanted to just kind of go in there. And for those of you who are like, hey, I need to get healthier, there's multiple ways to do it. There's multiple tools you can use. Using Jason's concept of with the fasting and what he learned with that and with that app could be a great tool to get you going. The point I want you to take from this is that it doesn't matter what you use to get started. The thing is, you need to get started, baby steps, and whether that's short fasting or whatever, you need to start at baby steps with whatever you're going to do, and then you slowly grow and start doing more as you go. Whether it's walking short distances and building it up, shorter fasts included with that, and doing things, lighter weights, and then building up with that. The idea is you got to make the commitment to do it. You've got to start doing it and then continue to improve and try to grow those little pieces that you're doing each and every day. And understanding it's going to get to the point where you may be having to dedicate an hour of your time a day. That hour that you're spending there, really, spending is not the greatest way. I would say it's the hour you're investing there, because that hour is going to change the other 23 hours of your day. And that's really the important part of it, especially when you've got those around you that you love and you want to be there for. It's a lot easier to be there for them as a fit person who can go out and walk with them, can go through the ball with them, can go hike through the woods or walk on the beach, whatever. To be that person that can be there and be there for their lives also is great, rather than be the person who's like, I can't do it today, I'm just way too tired. Thanks, but no thanks. Anyway, link for Jason's videos down below. Hopefully between Jason's progress and a lot of others of us who are doing this, that'll be an inspiration for you to basically put it on your calendar, what you're going to do, and start making those steps to a better future.